Hello everybody and welcome back inside the box for another episode of Gunpla Kitbash with me, Kukamatsu. In this episode we're going to be doing a little bit of light weathering, so let's jump right in. Okay, it's time to do some weathering, and in preparation for that I've disassembled once again to make it easier to deal with each part. But the very first thing I have to do is seal this with this Tamiya XF86 flat clear. The reason I need to do that is, first of all, I need to seal in the decals so that they're not damaged by the weathering process. Also, I want to have the same kind of shininess between the decal and the paint, which is not the case at the moment. And overall, I want the panels to be kind of a matte finish. Alright, I let that last clear coat dry really thoroughly before this next step, since I'm going to be putting water and stuff on here and rubbing stuff off. I just want to be absolutely certain that I'm not going to affect it at all. So the first step that I want to do is a grunge coat, and for that I'm going to be using Tamiya XF62 Olive Drab and NATO Black XF69. The choice of color is basically trying to find something that's going to show up on the colors of that I've chosen for the kit. Okay, I've mixed a pretty dark green out of those two. It's almost black, but there is some greenness to it. I don't know what this is going to look like, so I'm going to start on the back of the waist section, see what kind of result I get, and then go from there. For a thinner, I'm using tap water. That way I know I won't damage the paint that was on there previously. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to preload the area with water, just by brushing it over the surface. I'll go ahead and add the grunge color over the whole thing. And then I'll just rub it off with these makeup sponges. That's going to give a nice result. I also have some Q-tips in case I need to get in any areas that I can't get to with the sponge. I kind of like that it collects in the lower areas there. Do want to make sure that I get it in around the edges and in the cracks and everything like that. Preloading it with the tap water just allows the paint to flow a little bit better and is a less intense result. Since I'm using the Tamiya paint, I don't have a lot of time to work. If you're using enamels or something like that, you have more time. This is just I find this to be a simpler solution for me, so I tend to go this way instead of the enamel route. You could also use oil paints, but this works pretty well for me. One of the goals for me always is to knock out the brightness of the white decals, just to give it that sort of aged look and not like brand spanking new kind of look. I'm pretty happy with how that's looking. I'm going to go ahead and do that on all of it. Okay, I have a grunge pass over everything now, and it's doing a nice job of getting rid of the brand new quality of the original paint job. Definitely some nice wear looking on there. The next thing I want to do is a little bit of dry brushing, and I'm going to use a color that's similar to what I made, but it's slightly lighter, and I'm going to use it straight out of the pot. It's called Medium Blue XF18. So what I'll do is I'll infuse the brush as much as I can there, make sure it's totally saturated, but then get rid of most of the paint from the brush. And then I'm just going to lightly drag it over the edges. It's going to be a very subtle effect. Just going to give a slight little highlight to the edges, bring out the detail. And it gives it that nice kind of slightly worn out look. These edges have rubbed against things a lot. Finding it's a little too subtle, so I'm just leaving a little bit more paint on the brush. It gives me a little bit more of a an effect with it. I really have to drag it over the surface really lightly now, just to make sure that I'm not really painting it. It's just only hitting those edges. This is a little bit different than what I did on the last project on the Strike Rouge, where I used sponges for this step. It gives a slightly different result. A little bit more scratchy, streaky rather than splotchy. For the lighter one, I'm using the original mix that I made. Because I did that misty coat with a more gray version, the original bluer color actually shows up quite nicely in the dry brushing. Also, since there's so much of that grunge pass on there. And one of the things I really like is this effect of breaking up the white line a bit. Decals have a tendency to look stuck on, and anything you can do to kind of make it look a little bit worn and part of the surface is a good thing. Okay, I'm really digging how this is looking. It's really brought out the details nicely. Looks like it's been through a lot. Has been cleaned and got dirty again, cleaned and got dirty again, worn out, scratched. It's very subtle. It's a really nice effect, I think. If you wanted to do chipping effects, you could do it at this stage on top of this. I don't really feel like I need it in this kit. It might be a little bit too much, so I'm just going to stop right there. So I think the weathering is done. And that is the end of the episode, and in fact, the end of the project. So in the next episode, we'll be doing a quick recap of the entire build, and then we'll do a final reveal. So if you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate it if you give me a like down below. Check out the playlist for previous videos. Subscribe if you want to follow along, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.